Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? So let's go into the topic for today, which is branches related to the solar plexus. So let's see through where I explain this. So let's see this from two different points of view. One from the point of view of the universe and the other one from the point of view of a human being. I hope you can see it. What we have here is that the universe, from the point of view of the universe, everything is a unity. So this unity divides itself into two aspects that we will call time and space. Time and space that we also can call negative and positive in the universe. So this would be the origin of duality. Then from time, we can have three other branches that we call past, present, and future. So from this other side, from space, we will have three more branches called high, wide, and depth. So this division, this main division, will keep dividing into different branches in the universe until it starts to create chemical elements, start to create different natural elements, and from them start to create the nature, so galaxies, and then million galaxies, billions of suns and stars, trillions of planets, and inside these planets, they start to create life in all these different realms like vegetal, animals, until we reach the tinier and the most quantity, which is bacteria and virus. So every time tinier and tinier, going through thousands and billions and millions of branches from this tree. So from this point of view, the universe starts to create branches, to divide itself into thousands and billions of aspects of existence. So everything that has spread in the universe to the limits, in the other side, they start to go backwards to the center. So each one of the atoms and particles around, they start to create molecules and chemicals and together to create virus, bacteria, and then cells, and then they create living beings, and these living beings has many thousands of generations. So they go from different grandfathers and grandmothers until they reach mom and dad, and they create me. So pairs of two that they start to create only one. But this is not the end. I keep going looking for the unity. So I am another branch too. So in this tree, everyone is keeping the process of looking for the I am, for the unity again. So from the expansion of the universe, it all comes back to be integrated again. Basically, the universe expands, opening into different branches, expanding like the branches, dividing itself, creating thousands of options, and like a tree expanding the savia, I don't know, the liquid from the plant towards the leaves and releasing the oxygen, and then it comes back water in roots, so absorbs the water to go up. So basically, that's why we call the universe like the tree, the universe tree, because it works exactly the same. So what we have here about this tree is that we call different parts of the tree with different names. Like for example, we have this here, this tree here, in which we have the unity. So we call this the unity, and then we call these branches time and space. But these two branches are part of the tree. They are not different. We are the ones that call to this stage of the universe space, and to this stage time, and this one space. It's us who give the name to those branches, but actually it's the same tree. We call these tiny branches, these other three tiny branches, past, present, and future. These others, we call them wide, depth, and high. So we give a name to each part of it. In the same way, we have a name. My mom has a name. My dad has a name. My grandparents and grandmothers has different names. Basically, we name each tiny little aspect of the tree with different attributes, with different names, but all of them are the tree. If we can identify a leaf inside a tree, the leaf is the tree. So when we usually think about the family tree, when we think about the family tree, we used to say, for example, that this is me here. I have mom, dad, grandmother, grandfather, grandmother, and it keeps going on and on. Okay. And so we can relate that our life is kind of a tree, but even though we treat each one of the individuals inside the tree as totally separate beings. Like if I am not related with any one of them, like if I was born and I have no relation with that people. And actually, if we start to see this as the universe works, we are not simple individuals. We are the consequence of each branch. So we are a constant consequence of the tree. Do you all know why there are branches in a tree? Maybe it's a silly question, but sometimes maybe there are some people that doesn't. So let's explain why we have branches in a tree. Remember that yesterday I spoke about photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? So the trees, the plants are looking for the light of the sun to gain energy. So we have a plant on the ground that is looking for that energy. In order to receive as much energy as possible, the plant needs to create these leaves that are like solar plate, so it could reach as much energy as possible. Okay, so they expand and create these huge leaves so they can receive as much light as possible. So at the beginning, in the beginning of the first trees, the plants would grow like this. They wouldn't have branches, neither leaves. They were just these types of cones like this, all structure, so no shape at all. They would be like a kind of a cactus. So we're like asparagus, like mushrooms and these kind of things. So no leaves. One of these plants, in order to much more light than others, start to create leaves, like this solar panel that will receive much more light from the sides. So the first thing that happened, basically, is that with these leaves, they start to cover one another, so it's difficult for them to gain the light. So all of them starts to do this, which for sure you know the shape. Do you see the evolution from this to this and goes to this? Well, you know this shape, of course, palms. So what the plant starts to do, because the palm starts to cover one another, because there is a moment when the plant starts to cover the entire planet, these palms starts to look for much more light. So they extend the leaves as much as possible in order to reach the light. So what these trees will start to do is that they find a way to get much more light when they create branches. When they multiply these long leaves, they start to create the structure of the tree. So basically, the reason why they start to do this, because there are so many trees around that as many branches it has, much more options to reach the light, not only from above, but also from the rising sun, setting sun, and any ray of light that could come through the forest, they would receive that information, that light. Okay, so that's why it starts to spread and create the shape of what we know today as a tree. So this is why the tree starts to have branches. So the universe does exactly the same. The universe is the unity, and the unity divides in duality to see itself. But this duality creates polarity, and it's constantly living the same thing. So it starts to divide itself in order to create different options. And these different options that creates kind of trap them in polarity, in duality. So, so what the universe starts to do is to find new options through polarity, creating a third one, and a new one, and a new one, and a new one, so it can escape from the same system to reach light and awareness of what it has become. So the universe starts to create branches throughout the existence to try to escape the duality so it can create a new option, gain consciousness about itself. So we can see through a tree that the universe did exactly the same, looking for the light, creating energy. And of course, through that energy that the universe received, becoming aware of itself, it is able to create fruits, and these fruits create seeds that are able to create new trees that we call parallel realities, and also the other dimensions of the universe. But everything in the universe is only a tree. So nothing is different from anything. They are just diverse parts of only one being. So now the thing is that imagine that you are here. This is you, a tiny little branch in the tree, on the top of it. And we have come through all this process of the tree from the seed in the ground. So basically, everything that we do, what we are, is an impulse of the entire tree expanding itself. We have inside of us, we have all the forces of the entire tree. And this means that what we are looking for in our life which is the light of the sun, the clarity. It's not a decision that we do for ourselves. We are just following what the tree has decided for us. So this explains that our life is basically the impulse of the entire tree. We are not free to decide anything in our life because the impulse has been already taken. So this belief that we have about being separate from everything, and we can choose our own destiny and what we want to do besides the other ones, is not that easy, because actually we are the condition of the whole tree, the entire tree. But we do have an option. The option would be if I will grow to this side, to that side, if I will grow like this, if I will grow doing like this. That's my choice. So basically what we can choose is the direction of where do we go, the path that we take, but what we have inside and the goal that we have and the origin that we have already exist. There are, for example, some branches and leaves that are under the other branches. So the main goal of a whole tree is to reach the light of the sun, to have clarity. But there are many other parts of ourselves that are in the darkness, that they are in the shade of other leaves. So what we have to do is to go up to find the light, to find as much light as we can. Of course that you can leave the tree, you can start all over from the beginning. That would be cutting the branch, falling down to the ground, and start again, throw some roots and then the first leaves. You can do it. So what is the problem here? That the forest is too big, and if you fall down to the floor, it's really difficult to reach the light. So what we usually feel is like if we are the trunk supporting the entire weight of our history ancestors. But what we really are is just a little branch being held by all the ancestors. So to make this cut here, you can do it, for example, in a very bad way, which is like being survival from the Holocaust, for example. That you have nothing, you lose everything. Country, origin, family, everyone. You have nothing, no friends, no relationships, nothing to be related to. You have to start from the very beginning. And of course, you can do it by awareness, like many therapies, to detach from the whole, to detach from everything. You don't want to be related to anything. So in that therapy, in those kind of therapies or choose a path, you won't have any relationship again with anybody. of your family. You won't have any clue of your tree, of nothing. So you have to start again from zero to create a new way of thinking and new relationships. You have no links with anybody. So it's a very, very tough process to do this. It's very tough because you won't see the light as easy as it is supposed to. You have to start from the very beginning, from the ground, creating roots again. So basically, if I get connected to the tree, we can do this. We can choose where to go, where to grow. So that would be, I can choose to bend the branch down, going to the shades. So I will get trapped in the shades of the past, or I can decide to go out and expand to look for the light and use all these forces from the unconscious of the tree as a holding for my growth and expansion by becoming conscious. So if I become aware of this, if I become conscious, and the way of doing that is by recognizing the tree where I come from, the shades that it has, the problems of the tree, everything, to acknowledge the power that I have. And from that, I can decide to expand and use the support of this tree from the unconscious, use that support, all the energy to expand me. And while I expand, I will rise up to look for the light. And when I receive the light, I will give this light to the other ones in the shades. And I won't feel the weight for that, because I am simply receiving the light by living my life and expanding out. So sometimes when we try to heal, we usually think that going to the past is something heavy, that like acknowledging our history, like if it's not pushing us forward. But actually, when we go to the past to see the history, to understand what happened to our families, to our generations, we acknowledge the unconscious that hold all this energy inside, that is pushing us to go beyond. So it's the energy from within the tree that pushes us to look for the light. It's precisely the past, the one that is impulsing us towards the future. Everything that we feel as impulses, as desires, as the will of doing something, of reaching a goal, all that is basically the result of the forces of the tree pushing me to move forward. What we usually do when we grow in this tree is that we repeat a pattern of growth. So every branch is repeating a pattern from the previous one. So that's in which we expand. And sometimes repeating a pattern helps us to find the light. And some other times repeating a pattern makes us weak. We cannot find the light. So we have to change the pattern. But it doesn't mean that we have to cut with the entire tree by changing the pattern. You're finding a new way to find the light for the entire tree. So when we change a pattern in our life, a direction in our life, it's not that we are breaking a pattern in the past. What we are really doing is to improve the pattern so we can reach better light for everyone. As I understand the patterns from the past is how I understand where is the problem, so we can change the pattern through the future. And as I evolve and change my pattern towards the future, I am not letting everyone behind. What I am doing is to improving their way to lead the light. We all have different names, we are different branches, but we are all the same tree. So the same thing here, we can extrapolate it to the universe, not only the family. So we can understand that we are a tiny branch in the cosmos that comes from the tree of species through evolution, that comes from every planet and every chemical element until we reach the Big Bang. So we are a tiny branch that is deciding where to go to reach the light, but the impulse has already been given by the universe. So we are just conditioned and being pushed by the universe. So we have two ways of seeing this. Whether I feel myself in a tree, not being able to become what I want, or I feel pushed by the tree to be what I am. So this is why when we become aware of this, we can go to the unconscious of this tree. And when we seek inside this unconscious of my past, I can find the tools that are within the tree to help me move forward and grow and expand. This is how we can feel this sensation of the universe is holding me, the universe is helping me. It's not because the universe is helping you, it's because you turn back, saw the universe, and honor the tree from which you are part of. The same thing happened with the family. When we look backwards and we see all the unconscious tools from the family and we honor them, so we receive the support of the family to move forward. And we stop feeling the weight from the past. And we start to feel how the past is holding us. I was giving the example now is this what we inherit from the family tree is not exactly, it's not a line. So I was telling an example with my own story. Like, for example, my grandfather, he was agnostic and he didn't believe in anything, but he not only didn't believe in anything, he felt like life had no meaning, no purpose. So no sense. So what he did was when he had diabetes, he decided to let himself die. So he just stopped taking the vaccines and insulin, and at 52 years old, he just passed away because he wanted to, like a kind of a smooth suicide. What I inherit from him, it was not that feeling. What I inherit from him was the need of looking for a new way, for a new branch to bring light to that shade. So what I did was to find in my life a huge purpose, a huge meaning that beyond the other dimensions, lives, and all the other things that I could say from other realities that brought me here to do what I'm doing, the energy that pushed me to do what I'm doing is what my grandfather did, to lose the purpose, to lose the meaning. It was the one that helped me to realize that I was in need to look for a new meaning and to give a purpose to life, basically through spirituality. So it's not a straight line where we inherit. Sometimes it's different. is we have to understand it. We have to think about the unconscious, because the unconscious is hiding the truth of why we do what we do in a way that we cannot understand it. That's why it's unconscious. Otherwise, it would be the conscious. So it's unconscious because we have no clue why it is happening, why I am feeling like this or doing what I do. So sometimes we, from spirituality, we rely this in, cosmic purpose and whatever, spiritual realm or something. But sometimes is in the unconscious, the tool is much closer and much easier. For example, I am doing all this just because my grandfather didn't find any purpose on life, and I have that in my cells. This is why I encourage you to find all these weird things that we have in the unconscious of our family tree. The vibration today is 0. The statement today is, I am vibration of connections. The code today is the age of Scorpio. The time of Scorpio was known as the eagle or the hawk, meaning the time where the gods descended to earth and had children with the women and men of the human world. The Scorpion era occurred between the years 15,170 and 7,320 BC, and represented the biggest intervention from the Anunnaki over the human cultures on expansion around the world. Here, the known Poseidon hid his children in the sea, who would originate the Atlanteans. Close our eyes and concentrate on the breathings. Take a deep breath, becoming aware of my entire physical body. And I bring my attention to my feet and legs. Using my imagination, I turn them into roots, going deep to the ground, expanding in every direction through the earth. Recognize the trunk of this tree coming from the roots, blowing up to the hip, my waist, back, chest, feeling it, surrounded by the crust. And I feel my arms, neck, and head turn into the branches. And I feel through my 5 senses the sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch, how they all into the leaves, flowers and fruits of this tree. I recognize myself as the tree of life. Take a deep breath. I recognize that each one of these branches are one of the ancestors and the beings that has built myself through history. I recognize that all the branches from history support me. They hold me. I recognize at each one of the branches of the tree all my ancestors. I can perceive them as I recognize that I am all of them, here and now. I allow myself to perceive all the things that hold me back from these branches, that doesn't allow me to move forward. And in the same way, I recognize all the things that are pushing me to the future from these branches of my ancestors. I open myself to perceive all this information from the unconscious that push me to the future, that design the path of my life, that makes me be what I am. I become aware that all these materials that I have received from consciousness are the tools, the nourishment that allows me right now to build what I am meant to become. I recognize that I can only build my future with the tools of my past. I honor the entire tree of my family, the entire tree of the universe. I resound and vibrate throughout all what connects us as one. I am the vibration of connections. I am the vibration of connections. I am the vibration of connections. I feel, I feel, I feel. I allow the snake of light to rise up my body, going through my plexus, bringing consciousness and clarity to all the branches of my history. Take a deep breath, expanding all the branches to the light, and each one at its time. Come back here and now. Thank you everybody for being here another day. And as always, see you tomorrow at this time.